bold predictions.
I love how Gio was there kind of flip-flopping a little bit, not too sure which way to go, and then like, 7-3.
Bam, 7-3.
The man don't mess about.
This is what the score will be. I am Hap.
I am the
I
mathematician.
am a Project Prisma winner.
I really wish they'd turn around and said if it did end 7-3, she has to call him Professor Hap for the rest of the week.
Professor Hap of Happington College.
Yeah.
What would he teach? What was
Maths, obviously.
Oh. That's not what I would do. I'm like a drama teacher. I'm the one that I teach, but Capitao, gone. Thatcher, bye-bye. We're on Cafe. Thatcher doesn't get a huge run out here. It became for me, and I don't know if it's the same for a lot of other people, if I do my words in the correct order. This was, for me, the first map where the new wave of banning Thatcher became apparent first. When this was kind of introduced, it might just have been a timing thing because it was when it was back in the pool, but we really started to see it come to fruition.
The Thatcher's an interesting one because with it being banned, you're almost forced to bring some form of electrification every single round. So you know that's going to be a thing regardless, right? And the main reason for that is that if you're looking towards something like piano, then very often you'll have a Habana very safely out on the West Rappel, just popping a couple of X-Kairos through and saying, hey, open up. Not so easy when things are electrified. It does then mean you have to get something like a Maverick very close to the wall to help deal with that, or put an entirely different focus in pushing through something like Cigar Door or going around into New Balk. It's uncomfortable either way you look at it. So I'm keen to see what lineups we see the other side start bringing. Time will tell.
Kitchen service, we respond to. Talking of wonderful service from production. Just now. I'm not going to name names, but I love and appreciate you. For they have,
for the delivery.
For they have delivered us the most sweet of nectars coffee.
It's quite appropriate because we are going to cafe.
Exactly.
It almost feels like it fits. It's thematic.
They delivered it to us in a plum, and I cannot thank them enough. They have been so good. I know it's like when you thank production, it's like this thing of like there's so many of them, but all of them, they're the best.
They are working very well, very hard.
I've walked away from Des now. Cafe, we start.
Just peel away.
I peeled away from Des. Cafe, we start over here, and it's one of the things that I say, and it sometimes comes true and sometimes doesn't, but I'm going to stick by it. Depending on the wall, you might see Legion reinforce. Here is when Thatcher is off the board, the extension you can do into Bakery, for me, with some teams opening it as a rotation, just weakens what the site can be. Because yes, these teams are good and aggressive, but it kind of, you're playing without this Thatcher, you can really have that as just a behemoth of an area to have to force your way through.
History there, one of the staff members over at Giant saying map 3, let's go. And I respect it, because if I were in his shoes going into map 3, my heart would be in my throat. I wouldn't feel happy. I'd be like, well, you guys are happy with the performance. It's been a great game. And if all you love is Siege, fair enough. Celebrate it all you like. Let's see how this first round plays out, though. We are starting off downstairs rather than on the top floor where most teams would opt to go in the first round. Luna's already been tagged up a little bit in exchange for some health out of Red Sun. So clearly an early clash taking place, but neither side falling down just yet.
They're looking and waiting for angles to open up towards Kochek and the rotation that this area offers. It becomes a very tight bit of control, but it doesn't look like anyone is immediately playing the force it back. They're just going to sit back and wait. They've realized they've taken the shoulder of damage already, as Red Sun has a habit of doing, but to be fair, so do most of Xavier players. It means that they usually don't slow down, though. They're still happy to meet the confrontations. They not only feel they should, but often can and will win. And, well, it becomes one of those things, those little moments where they've been so good at pressing those incidents, those mistakes sometimes.
What the hell?
Coming out well lit.
Quite a dance around Kochek right now. And Harry Potter, Luna outside. One on the outside main door with a grenade coming out of Speakeasy. Lands in great timing. Super Onigiri is going to trade it back as he was playing in Harry Potter. But look at this, the trades back and forth. That's Jordan finding one for himself. Has got to swing out, goes for a spray into Super Onigiri. But Giants are the ones who prevailed to begin with. 4 versus 2, 4 versus 1. Scatman has it all to do. Does manage to down one. One runs across. Can't quite find that kill. Finds 2 in the main hallway, but they're a little bit too quick on the trigger for him. Hysteric shutting him down. And round number 1, in pretty decisive fashion, going the way of Giants.
Yeah, this was a lot of pace. Suddenly executed. They knew where the spacing was. They got the opening body on Kochek. Sure, they lost the next, but the trade came. It was this flood, this pitter-patter of tiny aggressive feet that went through the kitchen and was able to take the ground. It's going to try it again. going to opt to double down on the sites and see if they can make it work the second time round. First round shakes, jitters, problems that can very easily and quickly be patched because we've seen Xavier do it before. As I've said, they're a quick learning team. They're able to kind of take away lessons from a round that goes wrong, sometimes horribly, sometimes tight, and adapt. They overcome and often overwhelm the opponents that are trying to push and apply pressure against them.
The big lesson in that last round to learn for me was Jordan was in the north of Bakery very, very quickly. And when you've got two players, one playing in coat check, one playing at the bottom of red stairs, you need that cover from Bakery. You can't be fearing someone's going to push you from coat check, someone's going to push you from Bakery side. So I'd like to see either someone playing inside of Bakery or you put less resource into red hallway and in towards coat check. That's the big thing for me that needs to change.
Now then, obviously, Red Sun is digging in around coat check as you brought it up there, but I'm curious about the slight adaptations we see now. It's a rotation I talked about before, the one around Bakery. They're opting and adapting to this slightly more loose style. It does give you breathing room. That's the thing. So when I say I prefer it, that is purely down to me. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people prefer to have this extended, this rotation around Bakery, because it works to their playstyle. And, to be fair of me saying I enjoy it, in the same breath, these are two teams that are more than capable of keeping that area under their control, whether it is a fortress for their opponents or not. They're very, very much in their wheelhouse, playing that with aggression and meeting that with the firefight it desires. Talking of, Jaeger on the top floor on the deep roam, slightly met by an IQ, but it does force a big roam clear here from the Giants. They have to come to the top floor if they want to meet this Maker, because if they don't, well, we've seen Jaegers on roams from before.
Expecting a run out from Kitchen or from Bakery, but no, just not aware that someone's just here waiting. This is his opportunity to go for the shot. We can see by the fact that rappel line still exists. There is someone there, jumps down and tries to go for it, but Jordan far too prepared for Super Onigiri, and that Jaeger shut down here on the top floor.
Good opener there, and obviously that's the Jaeger off the board and a big player. Onigiri has been a consistent match for a lot of the guns on the side of Giants, and to get him gone and to get him out almost instantly, a very big take and a very big push. Now it's a matter of seeing if they can make a little bit more from this, see if they can push a little bit harder and a little bit deeper. One of the things I will say is the last round from them, from what we've seen today, was very quick. We were able to find ourselves in the building in this instant firefight, and they didn't back down, they didn't slow down, whether it's just the site or whether it's what Giants want to try and bring on this map, or in particular bring against Xavier. It worked, and you can still see this pace from them now. They've cleared the top two floors. Now it's a matter of seeing where they can go next.
They don't think that they've managed to isolate Red Sun, who's currently playing inside of coat check once more. They have a really good angle upstairs where they could grenade him from, but there is an ADS inside of coat check, so all he can do for now is just sit here, bide his time, and wait for someone to try and push him. The focus wasn't from Giants to come through main entrance, but now they've done the good hard yards upstairs, they start turning their attention down. We remember how this went previously. That ADS could be the big lifesaver for him, because it was the grenade last time coming out of the sledge that helped them in that situation. Here he goes there, finds one, gets the down, doesn't finish it off, repeats for the second, and this time does get the kill. Reloading his way up, the flash is going to sing on through. He isn't flashed out just yet. There is so much utility in this room with him that they need to be able to force him out, or else the damage he can do is untold.
Yeah, it becomes such a big cornerstone of the way you can swing your aggression back on.
Oh my God.
Finds one more, but there is finally the trade coming out from Isera. Is able to take care of Red Sun, take his remnants out of his leg, and start thinking about taking the site. Because with only 15 seconds left, if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it at all. Wamai is still able to apply some pressure, but Isera is applying some of his own. Loops round to the opening in Bakery I talked about before, and it goes against them. Giants. Second round in a row.
Oof. Pushing it right down to the wire again. So much work being done, and rather than setting up for an execute, they more set up to restrict the defenders, put some vertical control down inside of the sites so those that are there can't freely rotate off, and then pinch these members that are isolated in different spaces around the map. Really good stuff from Giants. Again, very risk-averse, trying to play very, very slowly and in a controlled fashion. And here on the attacking side of Cafe, it's working great for them. 2 rounds, back-to-back.
They're not going to try it again. They're going to move over to bar, move up to the top floor, and see if they can make things work here. To be fair, I've talked about their adaptation and their changes. We've never really seen them lose 2 of these rounds in a row. We've never seen them have to triple down on a site in terms of their defending stuff. So let's see some new stuff. Let's see something else come out from them. And, well, it's going to be bar. They're not going to keep knocking their head against the wall. They're going to take a breath, take a bit of motion, and try and take a point elsewhere. If this does start to slip through their fingers and Giants head over there to their defense, well, I guess it's down to Xavier to try and find some of the unending font of energy they've been able to pull from throughout this entire game so far, like Jack Sparrow searching for that unending treasure. Xavier, you've got to try and find the blood from your enemies.
Use them to douse on the coins and source the treasure. We all know how the film goes. Or should. That is one film I have seen.
Well,
you would hope so,
10
right?
10 out of 10 film.
10 out of 10. All the reinforcements being set up here facing out towards the west, as you would expect. Some teams here in APAC have left one of those walls soft and stuck a shield inside of storage to have that being the one that faces out towards the west. Census, I'm just here to make a bad copy pasta and be shown on the screen. I didn't even get to see the end of it. Clearly production didn't want to show that one for too long.
Do you know what I saw? And I don't know whether I want to ruin the surprise of it if it does show up on stream or not. There's someone that may be in this building that is trying to get on the broadcast as a pop-up. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave production.
I can give an extra tip as well. It's 3 letters. I'll leave you to guess because there are multiple options.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, they're looking at me like, well, duh, there's 2 of us. I'm like, yes, that's the exact point.
Who out of I mean, you could very quickly solve it if you wanted to and just go to Twitter. But who out of them could be playing these games? Well, I don't know. We'll leave that. Hey, this is a much slower take, but this is for them, and there is an opener. DCH dropped from Luna. As they flood their way instantly in and through, they've taken control with a huge swipe of aggression at the defense, and now they're looking at droning their way in via piano, looking towards anyone that might be around the delicate dance of Christmas tree, and a nicely wrapped present for them to, well, shoot.
A nicely wrapped present to shoot, because when someone puts time and effort into wrapping a gift for me, my first thought is put bullets in it.
Gonna shoot it.
Why not? Give us some more decorated patterns. Some holes never hurt. Speakeasy definitely hurt Super Onigiri's head, though. Headshot going straight through onto him puts us into a 5 versus 3. And we still have so much time to play with here. Giants, who have been categorically slow today, I'd say, and very cautious in their approach, have sped things up. Red Sun looking to come behind. They have no idea. Where is the cover? Those 2 pushing down at the top of Red, and it's all falling apart. Speaking of Red, it's owned by Red Sun. But Jordan from above finally springs into action and restores balance for the Giants team. It's still a 3 versus 2, and that was a lot of damage inflicted by Red Sun.
Red Sun has had such a good day today. They really keep finding these pockets and breaths to just swing in and find bodies, find motion, whether it's an impact kill or whether it's something to just shift momentum, or whether he just decides to pop off for a round. It's been such a good day for Red Sun today. Drone gets dropped as it tries to catch the man in the middle in the back storage unit, but with the creeping and the attempt here at getting out control of White Corridor, well, they're just going to pull back, run down to the stairs and watch it from range and make sure that Hysterics on the Ash isn't able to take the body as he swings on the corner. The pressure here from the new Balk window is a rarer seen thing, but with only 15 seconds on the board, well, you got to make it count.
Luna coming in big with the repel. 1 pushes into bar, but it's going to be Scatman finding that kill. Turns around for the second, but can't find it. 2 versus 1 for Giants. 5 seconds left. They've got to find the last man, but they cannot. 1 was down injured. A 1 versus 1 with no time left. All you can afford to do is sprint forward and hope for the best. And Luna sadly can't deliver his best. Xavier will finally put a round on the board.
A 1 versus 1 coming down to the wire in this game.
Never.
In this economy. No. I mean, that's it. That's Xavier to a T. Is they keep having these little ideas, these little moments of, I'm going to dig in here. I'm going to rotate here. I'm going to pull this off. And it's such a consistent play that is really paying out dividends. Reading room and fireplace, not going to head down to the kitchen yet again. I think that's the right decision for now, because either way, regardless of how that goes, they've still got to come to this site anyway. So,
I've done what you did.
I've
been baited.
You wrote it down. I know you were talking yesterday. You were like, I've gone back in time. This is how you talk, by the way, now.
Is it?
I've gone back in time, and I'm using pen and paper. Like Map3, actually, that was.
See, if it was technology, I'd be able to erase it and replace it very easily.
You would, but you're in my world now. I have so many coloured pens.
I was going to say, you do have an assortment of pens. Chat, he's got red, he's got green,
Yeah, have you
he's got
noticed
pink,
what
he's got yellow.
Have you noticed what I do with it?
Yeah, so you use it to very quickly indicate which team has got the opening kill. Smart play. Mine's more orderly. It's more like lots of blocks of squares.
Yeah.
But you can't easily tell which team has got the opening
graph paper?
See, this was on Twitter yesterday. Apparently, this is default to French paper.
Really?
This is how most things you buy in France will look.
Graph paper?
It's not quite graph paper because there aren't small vertical lines that are all horizontal. I don't know.
There you go.
But for me, it's good for drawing squares on and marking out who does what.
As the
What is that mirror window?
I know. As the legendary ace pirate would say, every day is a school day.
Every day is a spreadsheet day for
that
Ace
mirror
Pirate.
window, locking yourselves in on the white staircase and using it to, I guess, adapt and swing against people. They have the rotation and the possibility of going down, back round. It, I guess, falls down to Hysterics to get control of this with the potential Ash and just blow that entire wall open. But either way, it's built for it's an offsite hold, obviously, that can play onto a retake. This is a map that has some good hatch synergy, some fluidity, not quite akin to maps like Consulate, but in the same kind of ballpark of you can do big rotations. 3 great staircases are on offer, as well as a big drop-down hatch and a couple of sneaky moments to lose yourself around the tight corners that the bottom of the staircases offer.
I think Redson was looking to try and find something on white stairs there, but nothing was to be found. I was looking at the C4s on the side of Xavier and thinking there is some vertical play here that may weigh into it, but Redson's has already been used, and Napier maybe not quite in the most ideal position right now to be finding any kills, as no one is really looking to get onto the soft flooring inside of Piano. Bit of a focus in towards Cigar, I think, though, is where they've started to find their way in, or at least the top floor is in control. But it's the movement towards site we need to see. Very commonly, you take control of Cocktail, you start opening the floor up, you have your angles downstairs in towards reading. That's when you can start isolating rotations, forcing defenders away, and then normally you'll see an execute coming from Pillar side. Not sure if that's their full intent right now. You can still see members hanging on the upstairs. Red Sun and Ysera doing a little white stairs dance, of which neither side successfully manages to find the other.
About to pass the minute marker, and well, everybody's still on the board. It's the slow and steady pace we've seen with some familiarity, and Hysterics is going to be the one that starts the shift. Onigiri goes down. Hysterics has found his way in to the train room and is looking towards the dining hall, but with where Red Sun and Napier are, they have that mirror window, they have the ability to quickly swing on anything that tries to go down in this fireplace. There's got to be some pressure from the top of the white staircase, which you can see coming on the top left of your screen. There is the bodies, there's the drones, there's the angles, but unfortunately there's also a couple of players you got to get through, and they're pretty good with guns, I hear.
It's the fear about losing white stairs controlled here, because you lose that mirror window for free if that is the case. You can see a couple of them starting to push down that way. It's a good mirror window, admittedly, but again, I fear about the control of white stairs. Napier does finally connect with that C4. Drone comes out at the last second, arguably at the wrong time, as Red Sun's going to pick up Jordan on that attempt, finds a second through the wall. What a day he's having, like we keep on saying. Luna's going to trade into Napier, but once again, Giants have left it into the dying seconds to make something happen. I was going to say it was Red Sun with a quad, but Scatman takes that final kill. Dare I say, this is where I look at Giants and say, these last 10 to 15 second executes, they're forcing mistakes that you really shouldn't be making.
Yes, exactly that. And this is one of the things that I said very early on that Xavier seemed very good at picking up on, is if they can play that time, if they can push Giants to have to go with 15 seconds less on their 30-second plants, which is tough for anybody, for Giants, it really starts to make things fall apart. It makes the crack show, because Xavier, as we've seen, are very happy to operate in dying throw, all or nothing moments. They have this weird ability to just throw everything at a site, and sometimes stuff sticks. Sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of the times it does. However, if you compare what we saw at the very beginning from Xavier, they weren't as aggressive in terms of pushing that time. They were a little bit different in their ideology of, you know, let's try and find firefights, let's be aggro. Here they're surviving, sticking in, forcing holds, playing more akin to some of the other teams in the region. And against Giants, well, as you said, it just leaves them a little bit out of shape, out of breath, out of sorts.
It does put us at 2-2, and we've already seen this once today, Fluke, where it came to the all-perfect balance back on map number 1 on Clubhouse. Dare I say it feels like it's going to go to another overtime based on how it's played out so far.
Like, for fans of both teams and people that are just here to watch this game, there is no way you can say that any of these players haven't given their all. Every single member of both these teams has shown up so well today. Everyone is giving everything they physically can to make sure that they can try and get their way into this final. And it has been such an exceptional series because of it.
Absolutely. Let's see how Kitchen plays out once more. It is where we saw those first 2 sites come through, and spoiler, it wasn't particularly successful. They lost both of those first 2 rounds to a very mixed assault coming out of Giants, putting focus in the more conventional spaces where you would normally see the floor in, say, Train being opened up, and then rotated themselves down red stairs to get things like coat check control, push out towards Bakery. They wanted everything, and they were given everything. They were given both rounds by the side of Xavier, who need to win this. Otherwise, you've just conceded 3 rounds on the same site on your defensive half over to the attackers, and that is just a abysmal record.
Going for the top clear here as they see if they can catch anyone playing towards the white stairs. Hot droned for one of the first and few times that we've seen today as they try and get an angle on anyone that might try and counter-aggressively push them. But as far as we can see now, all the bodies of Xavier are on this ground floor. The top 2 are in the hands of Giants. They've realized they're dropping down, they're making sure they can apply some pressure, not quite with the intense pace that they had in the opening 2 rounds, but when you just drop 2, you want to make sure you don't lose yourself too much. You have to have a consistency, a bit of control. This is the game where the winner will take all after a very long series.
Red Sun just once again sat in coat check like, challenge me, cowards, come to me. Because they know how poorly it's gone for them previously, losing 2 to that shotgun. They are ignoring him once again, doing a lot of work though with Speakeasy on. This is what they did last time round. They cleared this out, and about 45 seconds left in the round, they decided to go and rotate onto Red Sun to clear him out. I would almost like to say, ignore him this time round. Like, you do have hard breach, you have 1. You can have a method of getting yourself inside something like Freezer, but just so much time is being invested in getting things cleared around the map and focusing on the upstairs that you have to ask, when does the execute come in and who do you worry about? Super Onigiri is no longer worrying about Speakeasy. That's the sledge taken off the map. And that was from downstairs on the side as well, so they don't have this vertical hold that they'd have been relying on previously.
They're looking to see if they can try and apply the pressure now. As you said, the dying 40 seconds is where we start to see them move onto this site. In general, it's where we start to see Giants move on any site. And Luna's going to try and pull some of that back, able to take care of the smoke through the ground before any canisters were used. A big take and a big bit of utility off the board for the defenders. With only 20 seconds and the diffuser just a few feet outside, and Mr. Flash isn't going to be able to buy them any ground, though.
Time.
Even less, even less. They have the ping, they know where he is, and he runs straight into the gunfire. He almost shoots his own teammate because there's a lack of communication and coordination. Dropped on the hop over through the opposite side. They are flooding in. It's all down to Zafir, who catches one, suffers on the shoulder, but Xavier
Downed him.
got the diffuser planter because Zafir was looking the wrong way.
I think that spray actually came in from the north side of Cooking. He just sprayed through the wall to where he knew he'd be planting. The default spot is always going to be next to the bomb. And although he dealt with the first one that came through, couldn't find the second, who still stayed inside of Cooking. Good defense coming out of Xavier. I will go back again to a point I made last round. Giants cannot keep on leaving these plants to the dying seconds. I completely appreciate there is a lot to do in this game. It's a relatively large map. There's lots of things you've got to do to set up. But leaving it to the dying 10 to 15 seconds leaves no room for error, and the small error there wasn't even really one they could control. A player was sat inside of Cooking, and with the sledge dying a minute and a half ago, no one could contest the angle that he was holding.
For Hap to be correct, Xavier must no longer get any more rounds. This will be the tell of whether he's a seer or not, because now, for Hap to be correct, Giants have to thread 5 in a row.
What about the reverse, where he said it would be 7-3 to Giants, right? What about if it's 7-3 Xavier? There needs to be some kind of forfeit here.
A forfeit for Hap. We'll let chat decide that. And
Gio is gesturing and saying shave his hair, which I feel is going to be a very hard thing to convince Hap to do.
An impossible thing. Have you seen his silky locks?
He can call Gio Professor Gio. They'll just trade for N7-3 either way.
Yeah.
That seems a lot more palatable for all parties.
The UK legend Ian Chambers, when he got,
We love Ian.
I believe it was Pat to call.
Oh, the cool thingy King, yeah.
Maybe that. Maybe you have.
We play some wonderful games in our post shows in the UK called grabbing rights, where you are given an item in your household to have to run and fetch and bring back to the camera.
Yeah.
And there's always a forfeit. And Pat was insistent he would never call Nathan King. And Nathan won all 3 rounds, so I had to call him King.
We're UKIN casters, if you haven't picked up that. We're here on the big stage, giving a shout out to our boy Ian Chambers in the UK scene.
All right, round number 6. Xavier in a spot where they've clawed back these 3 rounds, where back at the start it looked like Giants may go on an absolute tear on their attacking half. Not yet to be the case. But this 6th round, if it ends things out at 3-3, I would still say it has been pretty successful overall for Giants.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way you've kind of looked at this map before statistically, I'm sure you have them somewhere, it is a defender-sided map for most regions. I'm assuming APAC is along the same step and beat with that, regardless of how chaotic the region can be in terms of, well, the play style and the way they like to throw themselves at each other. It's a standard look of a split. Is a 4-2.
Arguably the most conventional take I think we're going to see all game long from these 2 teams is a very standard push in towards Cigar. They've got their way inside a piano by taking control of the double reinforced wall and now looking to try their assault in towards White Corridor. That means first and foremost removing the shield that Napier was playing behind can very sensibly now fall back in towards storage, where he will be joined by his buddies of Redson and Onigiri before they have a quick team pep talk and then go about their journeys once more. This is a very standard setup that you see on Cafe, where the defenders hold across to the east, the attackers towards the west, and there's this awkward kind of no man's land that exists in the middle. That's normally why there is a wall down to the south to take control of storage to support the take in towards the bar itself.
For the 5th time, Giants get the opening frag, but obviously that hasn't really been the story of how it's gone. For me, pointing it out as a big part of the previous maps on Cafe, it has not been par for the course.
They're taking it in turns in bullying Onigiri now. He's died to 3 different members of Giants at the start of these rounds.
It's just one of those ways where you kind of
life as a Jaeger main, you either frag or you don't.
Onigiri, again, if we're talking about players that have had exceptional days, again, all of them, but you think of all the times his name has shown up in these troubled situations and troublesome situations, being the opening face that the opponents see is never easy for anybody. Jordan takes care of Red Sun and is able to drop the Lesion, and now they've got this control. I believe he's on the...
Repel.
Yeah, Repel.
Yeah, not Repel, sorry, Skylight.
Skylight. Yeah. He is looking for anybody that might get a bit close, but hey, look at this, Des. We're on a 10-second final dying throws plant. Ysera's going to try and stick it in, and, well, they're trying to find some battle back against it. It's all down to 1, and they can't quite catch it this time. But they do get caught themselves. Giants, 3-3 on the split.
Much better in that round, although it was kind of coming down to the wire. They already had so much control and so much pressure. That crucial grenade singing into storage and forcing that Lesion back into the sightline of the player on Skylight was enough for them to remove that critical control of storage like I spoke about earlier on. It's often where players will spend their, teams will spend their time warring over, because storage control ultimately for attackers will let you plant in somewhere like bags or inside the bar area. Or if you're looking towards the defenders, it's the ability to prevent a push coming into either bags or through the cigar door. That is why all of the action centers around that single location, and why you'll see ADSs, reinforcements, shields, X-Kairos on the attacking side just being thrown together to try and give an advantage one way or the other. We are going to return back to the top floor, but of course, for a different team, it's going to be Xavier on the attack and Amaru going to be a hover for them along with the Ying. So we are going to see something interesting here.
Yeah, I was about to say, Redson bringing the Monty, I was like, okay, we're back to this. We're back to where we were before, where we had this player that was starting to pop off, but they were playing this obviously big man mountain support role. Here, if you were to hint towards 2 different ways to enter a building, there's one where you are unbelievably obvious because you are seen, and there is one where you're unbelievably obvious because, well, they can hear you and not see much else, and that is what they're going for.
They're doing it. They're going to leave one of the storage walls soft here. They've got a mirror window at the very top of the white corridor, as you can see just here to the right-hand side of your screen. Normally what you'll then do is open up like a line across the entirety of that storage wall so you can see everything that goes on in the windows on the other side. It makes it so difficult for the attackers to get control of Piano because you just don't know who's going to swing out from that window and bring you down.
With the mirror window set up too, they've got their angles inside the bathroom. They know how they want to do this, Giants, and it's with a huge amount of angles and aggression. This is the thing that we said about this floor when we were here yesterday. Xavier had this habit of not quite trying to lock down the angles against Fav at points. And, well, Fav did the same, obviously, not being able to take the map. But in the same breath, you know, if you don't do those maneuvers against a team like Giants, they're so good at exploiting that. They're so good at battling back and locking you down, and it takes more than just panache, more than just that fire.
You love that magical word.
I'm trying to slip in as many words in the native tongue as possible.
Words in the native tongue.
Yes. I'm going to have a look through phrases, and I'm going to...
All right, future days, we'll bring them back.
I'm going to try and impress production, but I know I never will. 3-3. 3-3 is the split. 3-3 is the turn of the half. If you are joining us now, somehow, if you are joining us now, well, we have had every single round possible. And if the scoreline is to be believed so far, there's a strong chance we might have every round still left on the board played.
Reload.
45-round series. Looking back at yesterday and how quick it went, 2-2-0s. It was done and dusted in probably about an hour's time. Whereas we're not even in the second series yet, guys. Sit tight. Cyclops versus Cloud9 going to be the next game to determine who will join the winner of this series in the grand final on Sunday. So much more Siege to come. In between all of that, of course, we have the other regions. We have South Asia.
Yep.
We have Oceania playing as well.
Whoa.
There's so much stuff going on, and all of those regions, or the other two regions, will play tomorrow.
I think that's the super exciting thing as well, is obviously when we talk about what this region is capable of, we talk about the skill being put on by
the execute
guys. Well, yeah, the combination of the Candelas and the Amaru able to get one, get the default, and there's a second. Red Sun swings in two. Speakeasy finds one back, but now it is suddenly only Speakeasy versus all of the bodies. Scatman puts the diffuser down. And in this post-plant situation, with White under their control, no longer Xavier. Unbelievable execute.
I'd be very surprised if we saw the side of Giants even anticipate that one coming in, even when they saw maybe potentially what operators were on the other side. Really good use of the Ying. One small thing that's never really appreciated is the amount of noise that those Candelas make. You can mask Amaru zipping up through a window like that. You can use it to mask a plant going down. There they used it more for cover to make sure that a multifaceted attack could be pulled off without any resistance. Excellent first round, and Giants probably sweating a little bit under the collar now and thinking, well, we need to find a response to this. Otherwise, this could be a very painful second round going into bar and cocktail.
There, I wasn't going to say that and expect it, is they're swapping out the Amaru. They're giving the impression they're going to do the same thing, but instead they're going to adapt. Not adopt. Or
you can say adopt.
Yeah.
They're going to adopt a different strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I almost did the right words.
Almost.
There.
So we found out the analyst desk can't count. We can't do words.
No. I already tweeted yesterday, I'm going to leave it all behind and go become a dancer at the Moulin Rouge.
Yes, I remember.
Well, it was yesterday.
tweet.
I'd be worried if you'd forgotten.
No, I remember.
Oh, that's good.
Don't worry, mate. Can't forget you. Always in my mind, always in my memories.
And technically always in your ear, because you're literally directly linked.
Look at this.
Shouting.
It's obviously the change that came through to Amaru recently, where you get a very quick recovery time now.
Yes.
Not a chance of the smoke in that case. Jordan having any idea what was coming, because he was no doubt flashed, blinded, everything by the Ying. How frustrating.
It's just one of those moments where we, for all the highlighting and for all the kind of magnifying we've done on the executes of Xavier, of the moments where they go, okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is it. This is the kind of example of this. They had everything done, everything down, the use of utility to balance across the entire play space there.
Have you seen the comms of some teams where they actually count down to next kill? Okay, ready? Yep. 3, 2, 1, and it was bursting and it all kicks out. It's amazing.
And you can see it. You can physically see the really, really well-rehearsed, well-played choreography of how they wish to kill. A veritable ballet of death is what comes across this top floor in this bar. And, well, let's see if they can replicate it a second time with a slightly different bit of music behind them. They're going for the opposite side of the map. They're going for a more familiar take here across Cigar with a drop down on the top of the staircase and the Heaven Hell balcony control with pillars. Well, this is a bit slower to the punch, but it's got to be.
A total change in tack as well. Forget about the mirror. Forget about opening up that wall that leads into storage from Piano. Electrifying that as well as the bag's wall. So basically saying there's no way you are allowed into this location. Stay on that side and please don't come through. 2 kills being traded back and forth by either side so far. Luna and Oranagiri, the unfortunate receivers of death early in the round. 90 seconds to go, and now you can see the assault coming in towards White Corridor. As you'd expect, there are a couple of ADSs stacked here to protect the shield for as long as possible, to make Xavier waste as much time and utility focusing on this part of the map as possible.
Onigiri has been the opening death for 50% of these rounds and only once been able to get the kill himself. So it kind of shows that he hasn't quite been able to have as much free range in this map as possible. As I said before, he is the first point of contact and port of call in a lot of these holds and structures, so expect to see his name on either side, and unfortunately for him it's just, well, on the other side this time round. The C4 is thrown long in a bit of a bait and play here, but Maverick wants to lean into that. Xavier, yet again, going with the aggression. The frag grenade comes through, and they pop some bullets, but not enough into Napier.
Puts him down ever so slightly. It's only a couple of bullets, so Ysera's going to find Scatman downstairs. There's a bit of trouble going on as well. Trouble brewing in Paradise. This one is a nice read of a book. Silence in the library. Don't you know the rules? Apparently not. Ysera still hanging on to the downstairs, has a C4 in his back pocket, and let's not forget there is tons of soft flooring above his head. It would be unfortunate should they try and step too close into the site and get themselves blasted out. Here's Ysera, C4 in hand. I thought he was going to try and go for it. He doesn't bother in the end. Instead, holding close. They don't even know that he's down here. Misses the crucial shots. Almost gets tagged out, but not quite. Giants with the numbers advantage. Time on their side. 3 versus 2. One goes down. A second goes down. Napier goes massive. Can they get the plant in? Yes, they can. But where's the C4? Ysera from below. Wrong spot, friend. He's in the corner. Bring out the C4. Not even needed. A shotgun is enough.
He'd actually just used the C4 before. He tried to catch them as they entered in from the top of New Balk door and mistimed it, missed through it.
Oopsie
and if
daisy.
that had gone, that had gone the other way, that would have been one of those moments.
It's like I always say, it's the small things in these rounds that lead to the outcomes you see. It's never about the big flawless rounds or perfectly executed strats. It's all the small things, all the minutiae of them that really make Siege an interesting game. That puts us all square at 4 apiece. We were at 2 and 2 earlier and it was like, oh, overtime seems realistic. It still feels that way now, given the scoreline.
2-2, 3-3, 4-4. It is these two teams. There's really not much else to say about it at this point in terms of how well these two teams are matching against each other. And I'm sure there was a lot of fears from a lot of people and players that we've seen what Giants have been capable of all season, and we've seen how well they've been able to take the other teams and the other pressure. But showing up on a day like this is a different mindset, a different experience that is hard to have unless you've already had it. Here from Xavier, they seem well trodden on the boards of pressure and are more than happy to keep their sea legs aloft and keep their guns true.
I feel like I'm playing a really uncomfortable game of noughts and crosses down the page here with just how back and forth it's going so far. I did get 3 in a row. Rounds 3, 4, and 5 went the way of Xavier, but otherwise it has been very back and forth between both of them, which is why it's hard to identify any form of consistency or expectation in results. Heading into reading in round number 9, though. This site, very able and capable of defending it as you would the top floor. If you opt to, you can play from downstairs, concede top floor control and play around the C4s instead, but knowing how Giants like to play the game, top floor will absolutely be a thing for them. 2 ADSs up there, 2 shields on top as well. No doubt probably got themselves a jammer in place from Mute at the same time, just to make it even more awkward for Xavier to get any kind of foothold on the top floor.
Now the drone work is coming out from Xavier. We've talked a few times, obviously, about how they prefer to send their drones in ahead and then move behind them. They don't really do too much aggressive hot droning. They work on their pre-places, obviously, and then kind of go, okay, well, this is what the space is now. Let's push forward. Let's get new space. And unfortunately, sometimes it leads to things like that. Suffering a spray because they just didn't cover an angle. Something they suffered quite a few times yesterday against Fav, where a player would just be buried in a corner they didn't fully check, and they would lose a life or two. However, they have this amazing ability to bounce back from those situations. It's just a little bit harder against Giants, a team that is always putting the pressure on.
Giants holding off site so aggressively here as well. I think no one's actually on site right now. You got 2 or 3, in fact 3 playing upstairs and 2 holding out towards Train and Fireplace. Almost trying to meet Xavier on their entry in towards the building and giving them no leg to stand on inside the building of Cafe Dostoyevsky. Here's Jordan back on site. He had that mute jammer down the north wall looking towards pillars as well. So when the opportunity does come through for Xavier to push in, they're going to have to deal with even more utility. It's like doing a game of hurdles and the hurdles progressively get higher and higher. Redson's in a good spot to be able to potentially deal with it, but it's the timing thing. I'll always harp back to timing.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Xavier is they're so good at knowing it. They're so good at waiting. They don't see an opportunity and take it instantly. They see an opportunity and take it within 15 seconds, sure, but after they've communicated it, worked out how everyone else is going to react to the situation, and because of that, they're still in control of trades. Whether it looks chaotic or not, as an opportunity take often is, they're still together. They still have a unity, a thread that only comes with time, practice, and obviously skill. And here is a similar situation. They got this wall open, they applied this pressure, and it takes a wide swing from Speakeasy to open it up, but DCH takes Hysterics in his own time.
4 versus 3, Giants still with the numbers advantage, and time slowly whittling away for the side of Xavier. They do find another kill from Onigiri, and Napier gets one, and just like that, the tables have turned. Napier goes down, can't get himself back up, but it's finished off in time. It's all down to Onigiri by himself, and he's not even around the site right now. At least he have a little bit of time to act with, but it's got to be so mindful. There is someone still upstairs who can peek onto him. Now it's all too easy for Ysera. Onigiri, sadly, not able to do enough in the closing moments of that round. Giants with 2 on the bounce.
Yeah, they find themselves now sitting on 5-4. It's coming down to good responses yet again. Obviously, the wall gets opened. The wide swing from Speakeasy was able to find yet another opener. If we're talking about players that have unfortunately been on the wrong end of opening kills, Speakeasy has definitely been on the right one this time. That is his 4th showing, putting the opening body down. Well, that's definitely what you need at this moment in time.
Ooh, that's something we haven't seen for a long time. Napier going onto the Kali, might get 6 picked away, mind you, so we'll save the excitement until it's most definitely locked in. There we go. That's exactly why we sit and wait. There are a couple of teams in Europe that play Kali quite a lot, so it's always really interesting to see when it gets brought out and what effect or to what level it's used in APAC. That'll have to wait for another day, as it's going to be the Twitch with the F2 heading things up there. A bit of a difference compared to an Ashe that you might normally see. Now, I imagine that focus will go into dealing with those mute jammers when they can identify them, rather than having to risk an operator stepping forward to spray them down and destroy them.
5-4, Giants.
Wait, whoa, mining, hello.
Yeah, mining, good old mining dining. And a 5-4 Giants. And you would say, obviously, this is familiar territory for them, but in the same breath, it's unfortunately familiar territory for them. They have been in this situation and things have started to slip through their fingers before. They know that they cannot give an inch for Xavier cuts a mile. And, well, they've got to keep that pressure on. Like the mirror and the extension via pillars with the rotation to reading gives them a little bit of rotation, a little bit of a circle that they can play aggressively towards the heart and the core of this building and structure, with some doubling down on the vertical above.
This is it. I love seeing defenses on this site because for the longest time we never really saw mining be a viable option for most teams. Reading of fireplace is always the one. You'd go to kitchen downstairs or you play top floor. This was just not a thing unless, of course, you were playing ranked, in which case it always seemed to be a thing. And this mirror window always makes me slightly nervous because a grenade coming singing in from the double window can hurt. They've managed to shoot out the ADS and the window there. That's massive value coming out of Napier, done in record time, what otherwise could have took a fair while. They now can't play in that spot. They can't protect Museum, so Red Stairs is now a very viable option for the attackers to ignore everything else on the top floor and put all of their stock in to try and get a plant inside of the B site.
Yeah, obviously, for a first showing from Twitch today, that is an exceptional way to show up, to be able to take care of that mirror window that, as you said, holds such precedence, such power over an entire subsection of this site and this hold. Now it has fallen. And now it is down to Xavier to try and exploit it. As you can see, Red Sun is wasting no time in doing. Goes up aggressively towards the opener, looks through, tries to find Pillar, but sees the man on the corner of the connection.
Ooh, Speakeasy.
Speakeasy go. Hysterics also goes off 2. And with Speakeasy down, they're going to try and rotate around and pick them up. There's, well, more than that.
That's unlucky.
Hysterics, yeah, over the top, through the fire. Where it goes, well, Red Sun.
If Redson had just held on for like half a second more there, he would have found potentially a double kill coming out. But Sally turned his attention down towards 90 instead of keeping hold of that angle through reading in towards the doorway. And sadly will lose his life for it. 5 versus 3 for Giants here. 1:10 left to go.
2 hard destructions off the board, 2 as your opener. Sure, it's not the most integral part of this fight. When Napier does things like this and just slow creeps through, Mira is on the other side of a bad position and suffers because of it. Fires towards the man on the table. Luna reacted very quickly to the push there, but look at the bodies that are swanning their way into sight now. They just have to try and get the diffuser through. The concern is coming from the pillar's rotation and the possibility of reading room, as they do obviously still have this man advantage, but they're so far away they might not hear it going down. Onigiri takes Hysterics, and Ysera battles back, but in a post-plant the timer is ticking, and we have seen Giants struggle when it starts to meet its end.
That lack of control inside mining came back to hurt them, but Ysera, it's not the first time he's found a massive C4 kill. Normally it's onto the ceiling above him, but this time it's actually inside of the site itself. Giants in a 2 versus 1, a 1 versus 1, and he wins it out. 6-4 is going to be the score. Giants move to match point, and Xavier, oh man, it's a roller coaster climb to get back into this game, I think. This is where the pressure starts mounting.
1 round away, Giants. 1 round away from taking this series that has pushed you to your limits and then beyond. You were 1 round away last time, Giants, and it started to slip away. So you've got to keep yourself locked in. You've got to keep your head screwed on, and you've got to keep Xavier, a loose cannon of a cacophony of gun skill and noise, away from the beating heart of your sight, because if you do not, we know that they can strike and pull themselves back into this game, and we know that they can push themselves even further still. So this 6-4 isn't as decisive as anyone who hasn't somehow watched the rest of this series may think.
I think they're anticipating a kitchen setup here as well, seeing the lineup, no electrification, but the poll suggests that's what they go for. But instead, we are going up to the top floor. We did see an alteration to how they defended this site in round number 8. They brought the Kite instead and electrified the whole of storage wall. This looks like the similar strategy they ran in round number 7, where they get the mirror window on the east side of storage, open up or at least soften up all that wall leading out towards piano. Thank you very much, Easy. And the focus goes in there towards keeping them out of piano. It didn't go too well last time for them because they just got blitzed from every single angle, if you recall. So I'm hoping here, knowing there is no Ying on side, no Amaru, things should be a little more settled. In comes a quote, Xavier 212-06050. The tension and stress in this match is insane. If you think it's insane for us, the casters, the viewers, everyone else, imagine how the players feel right now.
Imagine the players. Imagine that everything that they have worked for such a long period of time isn't only on the line right now. It's on the line after already playing 2 complete full overtime maps. They have gone the distance twice, and it's still going.
It's honestly like terrifying and exhausting.
Yeah.
They've been playing for, what, over 3 hours now? As much as you might love the game, you do start to feel worn out after a while.
Well, that's it. And this is one of the things that I've really loved to see over this series and over the best of 3s is we get the full true taste. You get the full competitive integrity side of, yeah, okay, you get winners in the best of 1s, but here, look at how far they're stretching each other and still going. It's still as intense as it was in the very beginning of this 3-hour struggle. This is going to be a moment where they're going to sit up and just be bathed in stress.
Bathed in debris from the hatch, apparently, as well. I have no idea what happened to all that debris. Clearly, skyward send was the intent. And then it all comes back down to earth, crashing into the same neat location. It's like something out of a film. An animated film at that.
An anime?
Not quite an anime.
Oh.
Just where it all falls perfectly into place. It's like something you might see out of Beauty and the Beast and like China teacups all landing in the same place or some malarkey. It was interesting. What else is very interesting is how they're holding down this site, mind you. Very, very standard, I'd say, in terms of setup. The only real big thing I'm looking at, again, is going to be that mirror window. Look at Napier lurking on that drone as well. The Switch drone is inside of storage. Can't get through to the mirror window because Speakeasy was holding tight.
Onigiri almost caught Speakeasy, but, well, this
out the window, do it.
Yep, this is them getting full aggro. They're swinging on every which way but the right one there, as they don't quite find the frag, and they're actually going to pull away and leave it to its destiny. They don't have to be there.
Oh, hysterics.
Well, Scatman gets one, but Scatman goes down. But obviously, without the points pop up, there is no way for Hysterics to know this current situation and no way for that information to be fed for the rest. Ooh. So he's just going to walk off and kill someone else instead out of frustration. Scatman is back up. It is a 4 versus 4, but the Habana is obviously, well, like a Le Chat Noir running with one of their lives less.
Le Chat Noir. You look so pleased with yourself. That's like looking at me just like, approval, please?
Yeah.
I'll give you it. That's a good one.
Yes.
Let's see how it plays out. 4 versus 4 then. 3 versus 4 as DCH finds one for himself, and still quite a bit of mobility around the map up onto the roof. It's Xavier in a commanding position. How many times have we said that before, coming into the dying seconds of a closing round? 4 versus 1 as Napier picks up a double. There's an attempt being made by the mirror, but guess what, Fluke?
It's 6-5.
What does that mean?
We're almost at overtime.
Woo! It's going all the way again.
All the way. You don't need to be Hap to cast it. You just need him less than 15 feet away, apparently. And his magic still works.
His aura of influence.
His aura of influence.
It bleeds into the game.
If only it was as apt as his skill at predicting rounds. But it wasn't.
Well, neither of them are getting the 7-3 that we thought. That's for sure.
No.
Oh, what a round to bring it out again, Red Sun. I hope you know what you're doing. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, let's see if he sticks it, because last time he was in the hands of Monty. He did actually drop it. He did actually swap off it to see if he could shake things up. Hasn't locked in yet. It's not actually going to be him that swaps it. It's the F2 in the hands of Napier.
They know that it's working somewhat for them.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll give to Xavier about their game that we saw previously, it was yesterday against Fav, when Fav were running all around the map looking to cause chaos, they were roaming everywhere. Every single room was touched by a Fav player in some capacity, whether it was utility or a player. Xavier for this side just said, we don't care. We'll take control of Museum, we'll take control of Mining, get through the windows and just push directly towards the site. We don't care about roamers. And they did that so many times over, just didn't engage Fav where they felt most comfortable on the roams in 1 versus 1s. And with the Monty on side, I've said it a few times today, that risk aversion when you have a Monty on side, you can be more risky in your play. You can be more bold as long as your Monty isn't getting shot in the back. So this could be the exact setup that Xavier needs to dismantle the Giants in reading.
Why do you think Giants have entirely avoided going to the kitchen?
I think they are fearful of the comfort it gives to the side of Xavier, being able to open up all the floor, being able to exact onto them what Giants did to Xavier back in the first half. If you recall, it wasn't a comfortable time because they were trying to play these individual roamers in place like Coat Check or at the bottom of stairs or Bakery, and it was far too easy for Giants to isolate these individual roamers, pinch them and go for a closeout there. They're not comfortable playing a turtle setup purely because that just means you get bullies from above. It's like trying to defend kitchen and service on coastline. You have to be ready to move off the site, and they aren't comfortable running into the sight lines being held by Xavier.
Angles held and angles waited with bated breath, but the drone work is still coming out from Xavier. Again, if I'm talking about 6-4 being a familiar spot for Giants, well, it was the same for Xavier. They've been 2 rounds behind and they've been able to pull it back to the firefight. They know intensely what they are capable of. And again, if we're talking about how intense this game has been from the off, it's still there in their play. They have an unending source of fuel that is driving the team into Giants. With windows open and angles
Oh, the window!
Zara swings round a player who has had a phenomenal time on Cafe, especially over these last few rounds as well. 11-5. Again, every single player has been popping off at the moments they need to, and Ysera is one that is desperately needed right now. Brings Giants 1 step ahead, and importantly, 1 step closer to the end.
1 step closer to the edge there, you had a great lyric on your hands. Onigiri has died so many times as the opening kill in these rounds. We touched on it earlier on at round 8. He died in half of the rounds to different members from the side of Giants. They're just taking it in turns to drive by and slap him in the face and say, get off the map. It's happening again here in round number 12 in what could be the most critical round in which to do so. To be fair, in the rounds that they have lost, or Onigiri has been the first death, Xavier have gone on to only win 1 of those. This is painful.
One thing to note as well, it's the soft destruction that's gone. They now have all of this vertical play space. As you said before, if they're on kitchen and worried about it, sure. Now they're on a site where they should still be worried about it, but they don't have the real capabilities that could have been offered here from Onigiri to start opening up the swathes of land and putting pressure on the bodies down below.
Napier's the last option they've really got to open up this soft flooring with those breach charges. They've already expended all 3 from DCH, so that is their last opportunity. It's that or bust, and I feel like they need this vertical control if they are going to try and go for a plant. They don't seem too interested in looking towards Cocktail right now. Speakeasy is still behind a shield with ADSs, and Napier, this could be a critical trade coming out. That equally is a massive one. Ysera, 2 kills for him.
Red Sun was trying to get the diffuser down there, but with another body gun and another body gun, it is all down to Red Sun. There's C4s on the board, but only Giants are left. as they, at the end of a Herculean task, find their way finally through Xavier.
Oh, I said it was bold as well. You haven't played Monty all map long and you choose the final round of regular time to try and catch Giants off guard. But I'll say it once, I'll say it again. This is one of the best Monty playing teams in APAC. They will be able to respond. They will be able to adapt and deal with what you throw at them. 7-5, 3 rounds short.